Hey there, YouTube. This is True Outlaw Patriot coming back at you with another tidbit from Forbes. Um, this one's about Matt Gaetz um, calling out some dude and also taking testimony of two girls. One of them who had transitioned or started transitioning to a boy. Now she detransitioned. She's actually been well known the past year, speaking up of all the horrors and stuff with children being given hormone blockers and having them being coerced into changing their sexual identity and stuff like that. And it's funny, there's some dude in the background that yells something stupid to Matt Gaetz, and it's funny that it would be a guy having a heckle something in the background when what the people that they have here testifying are women. Just so everybody, keeps remembering, like I said, I'm going to keep pounding this in people's heads, that, this whole thing about, taking children and trying to get them to, change their minds about life, about their parents, about, being straight, pulling them away from God, and trying to indoctrinate them. It's running rampant, and also, they're trying to pass laws in their own little secret way, trying to say that it's child abuse if a parent doesn't give a child what they want. Like in California. I mean, they'll take your kids away if you don't help your child get hormone blockers and get them medical help and all that, so they can change their sexual identity. And it's sick. It's really, really sick. And it's funny that when it comes to the kids, that you have the adult wanting to do this. Me as a grown-up, if a child came up to me asking me questions like this, asking questions, I feel like this, I feel like that, I don't know what to do, my first advice to them will be, you need to go speak to your parents. But it seems like, and you'll see here what Matt Gaetz is saying, it seems like when some of these kids go to some of these private counselors or therapists or counselors in school, they have it set up where they'll take the kid's side of the story and then try to hide it from the parents to try to help the kid. Is almost like basically like if they're a runaway slave that they're trying to hide and stuff like that. And I think it's very sick that there's a lot of parents in the medical field, I'm sorry, I should say a lot of grown-ups in the medical field, in the school system, in government, that are in on this. And any grown-up that's willing to now, I'm not going to say coerce a child, because obviously if the child is going up to a person that they think they can trust, they're going to go up to that to that adult. But for any adult to help a child when a child is so confused and try to steer them more and more away from their parents and getting mental help in the beginning, to find out they rather just fast track them through and try to get them that gender ideology help that they supposedly said they need because it's it's life-saving or whatever the case is. But listen to what Matt Gaetz says when it comes to the government stepping in between and taking the kids away from their parents if the parents don't want their children to go along that path of being transgender. It's pretty sick. But it's also, like I always say in my in a lot of my videos, it doesn't surprise me what the Democrats, who they put in power, and what their agenda is. And this is rampant, so people need to really, really pay attention. But here we go.
Ms. Scanlon, we just heard my Democrat colleague, Mr. Cohen, say that your circumstance could have been fully resolved if we'd have just had some barriers up in the women's showers. Do you think that that's a sufficient way to resolve what we're dealing with?
Now, the context of that is for a Democratic politician. Here's a girl who feels threatened, and you'll find out why. She having a guy change in the girls' locker room, and the Democrat response is, well, they could just put up barriers. Now, here's the fucking thing. Why is it that they have male bathrooms and female bathrooms, but yet if some guy says that he identifies as a woman, it's okay for them to use the female bathroom, and if any real females don't like it, they still are pushed to the side to make room for the guy who's saying he identifies as a female. And I think I mentioned in one of my other videos that you see more and more guys saying that they're transgender, and they're getting into the female locker rooms, into the female bathrooms. There's been a ton of rapes. It's been hidden from the media, but it's online. You'll see it. There's many outlets of young girls getting raped. I mean, there was this one incident where a while ago, about a year ago, something like that. But it still hits the waves where I believe the girl was 13 or 14, and she was raped by a transgender boy in the bathroom. The school kept it quiet, sent them to another school, and he did it again. And they keep hiding it. And my question is this: if the LGBTQ community, okay, the rainbow community, or I should call the rainbow fucking mafia, if they care so much for everybody's equal rights, my question is this: why don't you hear of these females that want to transgender to males? They get the hormone shots and grow their mustache and all that shit, get the testosterone shots. Why don't you hear of them fighting to go into the men's bathroom? Think about that. It's always a man identifying as a woman fighting to get into a female space. You never hear the woman who wants to transition to a male fighting to get into a man's space. Think about that and ask questions. But here we go.
I think by Representative Cohen admitting that we need barriers acknowledges there are biological differences between men and women. And by...
Now, wasn't that ironic that here comes a young person telling a Democratic politician what it's obvious? Now, this girl right here with the long black hair that's laughing, this is the girl that transitioned to a boy. Now she detransitioned to a female, and she has been ostracized front, right, left, and center like there's no tomorrow by the transgender community and people on the left. But we can talk about her at another time.
Acknowledging that we need to have private spaces that are separate from each other, why can't we just use the locker rooms that we've always used, the men's and the women's? If you're acknowledging that we need protection and privacy from these men, then you're acknowledging that the locker rooms we've always used are the correct ones.
Well spoken. Well said. And it's true. If they're acknowledging that, you know what, maybe we need to put up a barrier, then you're acknowledging that what's in the female's locker room and bathrooms is a male, is a man. And by saying then we can, we should put up, barriers so like that you have a wall where you both can change. What does that say? That says that that politician and many like him do not care. As long as they feed the narrative that, you know what, this is the chaos we're going to cause, and you're going to have to like it and fucking accept it. And more so, doing it, and if you notice, it's happening a lot more in the schools, in the colleges, in the schools. And they're forcing people to feel uncomfortable. And then when I called this a long time ago when this whole thing started with the transgender bathrooms and transgender people wanting to use, bathrooms, or locker rooms from the opposite sex, I was like, they're going to push for this now. And this was about 2 or 3 years ago that I said they're going to push for this now, and the rapes will happen. And the news media will try to hide it. And the mainstream media does not talk about it. MSNBC, CNN, they do not talk about it. You have to find that information online. Online. Like places like Forbes, okay, and all the independent news networks with actual proof, video, testimony, people going to court. But the mainstream media hides it. Why? Because they're wicked. They know what's happening, just like they're hiding everything at the border, just like they're hiding all the children missing at the border, just like they're hiding all the drugs that are coming in, all the sex trafficking that's happening, all the women that are being kidnapped. They cause the chaos. They know the chaos that's going on. They know the harm is doing, and they hide it. And what's even more fucking disgusting, is the female Democrat politicians that are for this, knowing that these young girls and women are being sexually harassed and raped. Unless I am wrong, please, somebody leave it in the comments. I have yet to hear of a girl who transitioned to a man being raped in a bathroom, and I have yet to hear, okay, of a transgender boy that wanted to turn into a girl being raped. It's straight girls and women that are being sexually harassed and raped and mocked and vilified. Unless I am wrong, because if it's true, it'd be all over the mainstream media. And that's how you know that it has not happened. Do your homework, do your research, and open your eyes. And if I'm wrong, show me the link, the actual proof. But I can almost fucking guarantee that it has not happened. Not that I want it to happen, but I guarantee that it has not happened. Why? Because the ones that are doing it, they're not boys that really feel like they want to be girls. They're boys. There are predators that are doing this. They're predators. Think about that. But here we go.
My next question is for Shannon Minter. Are you familiar with the changes in law recently in Washington State regarding transgender youth?
Yes.
And as I understand it, it used to be the case in Washington State that if a youth showed up at an emergency shelter, there was a legal requirement to notify the parent within 72 hours in the absence of some abuse or neglect. Is that your understanding of what the law was then?
I believe that is correct.
And then the law changed, where now in Washington State, if someone shows up to one of these shelters who's a minor and says that their parents don't agree with them changing their gender, that the shelter no longer has to notify the parents within 72 hours and can instead notify a government authority. Do I have that right?
The parents will be notified. There's no question about that. This simply allows for...
See, there you go. The question was asked if they no longer notify the parents, the government steps in. He comes on and says the parents are notified. Okay, that's fine. But you didn't answer the question. And the question being, the underlying question is, the government. Why should the government have to step in for a child that needs help when they're already going to a facility where the protocol should be, a child comes in, let's contact the parents. Listen to what Matt Gaetz says.
a delay in order to allow them to investigate to make sure this child is going to be safe. There's no question that the parents will be notified.
How long should parents have to wait, not knowing where their child is, while a government process is playing out to make a gender determination?
There's no reason to treat these situations with transgender young people who may be in danger or at risk of abuse at home any differently than we would treat any other child, where we have reasonable basis to worry about that and to investigate that.
But it does
A
treat them
short
differently.
delay to
Hold
protect
on.
the safety of young people is always
But
warranted.
how long is the delay? How long do you want a parent not knowing where their kid is because the kid says they want to change their gender? Just tell me how long a delay is you think is appropriate.
I want authorities to treat these kids with the same care they treat all other children.
No, but
And
that's-
it will be a short delay, and the parents
Hold
will
on,
be
though,
notified.
because, well, you won't tell us how long a delay. So if you're watching this, just imagine you're that parent and you don't know where your child is. And the law now says there's a 72-hour period where the shelter has to notify you. And that 72-hour period for any child of any gender or any circumstance is a period to investigate whether there's abuse in the home. But beyond that, beyond 72 hours, you got to tell the parent. And so it's really important to understand here what the proponents of radical gender ideology want. They want to stand between a parent and a child on these important decisions. And
that right there is what it is. They want to yank the kids away, feed them whatever bullshit mentally for 3 days, 4 days, 5 days before they contact the parents, because by then they've already put in the kid's head, this is what's going to happen, this is what we're going to do. It's sickening. It's really sickening that there are people in charge that are doing this. They're destroying children's minds. And like I keep saying, it's wicked and it's evil.
I don't think it's abuse if a parent says, I'm not going to get my child gender blockers. And it's odd to hear you advocate for the law, because just moments ago in testimony, you said, and I wrote it down, parents have a fundamental right to make healthcare decisions regarding their children. But if in Washington state today, the parent makes the decision that they're not going to provide that gender affirming care, what it does is it unlocks for the government a window of time to keep the child away from the parent and to not tell the parent where the kid is. Oh, please, get over yourself. What's terrible is when you have this incongruent desire of the government to restrain the ability of parents to parent. And I can only imagine the terror that a parent must go through not knowing where their child is. So I think that's really challenging. We've also seen in the state of Alaska, Title IX, which was established for girls' sports, to be used as a justification to socially transition a child against their wishes. Ms. Scanlon, as a beneficiary of Title IX, as a female athlete, do you think Title IX should be used in that way?
Absolutely not. Swimming did a lot of really good things for my life after I'm a sexual assault survivor, and swimming was one of the only things that I had to keep me going when I was struggling with that. And to think about young girls that are not going to be given those same opportunities because Title IX is being reworked and rewritten for these new people that have different definitions of what a woman is.
Yeah, I'm against transitioning children against the will of their parents, and I'm against transitioning Title IX away from an asset for women's sports through this strange social justice cause that is deeply misguided. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I yield back.
It's horrible. It's horrible that they come up with laws to protect women from having men compete in female sports, and now they're trying to revamp it all over again. Like you heard them say in Alaska what they're doing. That swimmer, Thompson, I won't even say his first name because I honestly don't know his first name, and I'm definitely not gonna call him by that female name because he is nothing of a female. But supposedly there's a video and a rumor going around that he is busted supporting Antifa. Okay, so if that is true, that in itself says so much about his ideology, how he truly feels about women and fairness and all that. All these things that are going on, the way they're trying to turn things around, now they're trying to make it seem as if now transgender women, men, saying that they're women, that they're the ones that are the victims. Okay, but yet they're forcing themselves upon women. I mean, there is countless videos online of older men in their 50s, in their 60s, going into bathrooms, to change in front of little girls, going into women's locker rooms in like all these public gyms and stuff like that, swimming pool areas and stuff, and it just it's like ever since this whole transgender movement has come out, I find it hard to believe that there were that many people hiding in the closet, because being gay is nothing new. Nothing new. What I think it did, in my opinion, it opened up the floodgates to pedophiles, sexual deviants, and perverts. Now, people will say, well, that's not right. There was a lot of people that had to hold back. Why? Hold back why? When I was a kid, born and raised in New York, when I was a kid, there was what they called transvestites back then, gay people all over the place. I mean, I don't think I've ever met anybody who didn't have a gay person in their family. So it's nothing fucking new. But this transgender movement has opened up a Pandora's box that was inside of Pandora's box. And a lot of sick men out there, and young guys too, they're using it towards their advantage, in my opinion. And it's all by design, because the Democrats, they just love the sick shit. They really do. Not all of them, I'll say it again, but a big majority, and the powers that be around the world. I mean, there's a beef going on right now in Uganda, where they're very upset because, the American government is trying to force down the fact that, you have to have a Pride Month, and you have to recognize gay marriage, and Uganda's like, go kick fucking rocks, man. That's not how we do. That's not how we fucking do. Obama made a fucking comment to one of the other African nations, trying to put him down, and he was just like, listen, brother, go kick fucking rocks. That's not how we do. So here's the American government, especially the Democratic Party. They can't even control their own fucking party and constituents, going around the world telling people, this is what you have to implement. This gay transgender agenda. It's fucking sickening. And now listen, I love everyone. Listen, if you want to be gay, that's your business anyway, as an adult. But to push it on kids, to help these kids transition, to make them feel, basically in my opinion, to lie to them, just so they can come back. Like, I'm going to use my mouse to point, like this girl right here, to come back and say that, for her to come back, to come out and say it was a mistake, and then the left turned their back and say, well, you're not part of the club no more, fuck you, you can't use our help. When a lot of these kids, they go to these transgender advocates and activists and all that, looking for help because they feel so confused. They feel that they're being pushed away from their family and stuff, and in reality it's not. The young mind is very complex. Any little thing can make a child feel so worthless, so self-conscious, and they feed on that. A lot of these activists, they feed on that, and it's sick. They only care about the child if the child is willing to cut off body parts and join the club. When the child wants to detransition, as they say, and again, it's online. There's a lot of people that have detransition, and they say that the blowback from the transgender community is way worse than from the straight community that they felt was kicking them away because they felt that they were gay at a time. It's just wicked, and it's evil. And the more of this information that I find out, I'm going to keep pushing it out. Children are precious. Women are precious. Human life is precious. But this chaos has to stop, and I'm so glad that so many people are speaking up, are making videos, are coming with the receipts, and I mean, coming up with the proof. And, you know, the left, they're just so, a lot of people on the left, they're just so fucking sick in the head. And it's sad. It's really, really sad. But anyway, I hope you like this video. Please comment, like, subscribe. And as always, stay vigilant, keep praying, and pray for each other. Peace.